Hari Om, Namaste. Dear ones, today let's talk about a very common yet very dangerous element, quality in us. Let's talk about greed. Human greed. I know it sounds bitter, and we like to reject, negate. And every human being, everyone likes to negate it, and as if he totally disconnects himself from that topic. But is that true? To disconnect from the topic of greed or ownership of greed is what generally everyone does. But disconnecting from the greed, the element of greed, the quality of greed is what we are talking about. Do you think anybody would come forward to say, oh yeah, I have greed in me, I'm a bit greedy? No one would say, even to the closest relationship, no one would come to say that I possess this little demonic nature in me. Because he doesn't recognize that. Not that he's a bad person, but he doesn't recognize that little element which is sitting inside him is very demonic, very powerful, very negative. So, let's overview our mind. And what's there inside the mind when we overview? So many thoughts, millions of thoughts together. And out of those thoughts, we need to pick up and see which one of them is filled with greed. So much seated inside our, mind. Let's see, look at the world, look at all of us, look at the human being, that every human who is incarnated in this plane, while he is born, don't you think he is in complete fullness? He is in complete fullness when he is born. His being is full. His size might be small, his body might be small, but his matter, might be small. But he is in complete fullness. When he is born with complete fullness, then what is that he is searching over the years? What is that he feels that he is missing? He lacks something. What is that he lacks? Not one, not two, not three, not four. He lacks many things. The more he lacks, the more want comes. What is that he lacks? He lacks all that what he desires. Desiring is not bad, but then all that desires enveloped in him, that causes one after the other more desires, creating more greed in him. This very birth, he's born, this very birth he's born is an opportunity to accomplish that he longs, whatever he longs for, whatever he's been, he couldn't get in his. But what has happened? After all that accomplishment, he still feels that, he's still longing for something. And to fulfill that, he again is asking for it. Then greed fills him. At the end of the life, what happens? Most of the human beings sadly end up creating so many unfulfilled desires within them. They come with new birth, with complete fulfillment, but then they go with that unfulfilled desire, because it's all born out of greed. Eventually, most of us die unfulfilled and dissatisfied. That's the sad truth. Are we born for that? Now, let's understand greed a bit more carefully. Greed is an excessive longingness. Greed is an obsessive power of want. Look at the powerful words here. Greed is an obsessive, excessive longing. And the more and more we want is an undesirable want. Not everything actually we desire. Undesirable want. What want? Want of wealth, want of power, want of fame, want of recognition, want of love. We go on like that. That means we are not cherishing what we have now. We just go on wanting. We just want more. Let's peel like an onion further and see what is greed. Greed obviously is a disease of the mind. It's a disease of the mind because mind is what says, I am not satisfied. I am not fulfilled. So disease is of the mind. Greed is a disease of the mind. So where does it originate? It doesn't originate in the physical body. I need more clothes. I need more money. It originates in the mind because of a feeling of lack all the time. Now, greed is said as one of the 6 enemies of the mankind. It's stated in Bhagavad Gita that it is one of the 6 enemies of the mankind, which we call kama. Means, it's more of desire. And that's what turns into greed. So it is called Shadaripu in Sanskrit, means 6 enemies of the man for his fall down, for his falling down. He falls down. One is kama, that is lust. Then krodha, that is anger. Then lobha, which is greed. Important ones. Then mada, pride, sense of pride. Moha means delusion. And matsarya is jealousy. These are 6 enemies and we are dealing with one today. That's greed. We will deal one after the other, the rest also. Now we must consider in our mind, we must go into our mind and just sit there and take the ownership of the mind, consider and see that what is that area of the mind which has the greatest confusion. Where am I so confused? Where I don't see that I am blessed. Rather than that, I go into that thought, oh, I always need. Just because we have not spent time to differentiate between the self and the mind. We consider the self, that is the soul, the spirit inside us, and the mind. So we don't see, the differentiation, the difference between the mind and the self. The mind pushes into more greed. The self does always say, you're blessed. But then, that's a very weak voice because the mind is so loud. It is howling and crying, I need more, I lack this, I lack that. So the self is also saying, you, be calm. You're blessed, you have everything. You don't have this, but you have that. But then the voice is so weak, rather, that it doesn't speak out. We can't hear it. It's inaudible. That is what is the greatest confusion between the self and the mind. So the louder the mind is, the personality gets carried away to the mind. And he begins to listen to the mind, and then slowly he begins to believe what the mind says. The true self constantly says you are in a better condition. Nothing is that, even if you lack something, there is fulfillment in other areas. And when the right time comes, things will come to you. Many things will unfold to you. But the mind is in a rush. The mind creates so much sound, chattering all the time. The net result is we fail to see that the world supplies us, satisfies everyone's need. The mind satisfies, the world satisfies everyone's need. This world has got everything to satisfy everyone's need. That's how God has created this. But it is our greed which is making this world fall short of things that we are now facing. Today's crisis that, in this world that we are facing so many crises, that's all born out of human greed. But the kind of greed which makes you feel that you can never have enough. Whatever you have is not enough. No matter what you have achieved is still not enough. That's the biggest disease of the mind. That's the biggest problem of today's world, where the mind chatters and chatters, howls and howls, screams so loudly, paralyzing you, making you believe that, your feeling world, making that feeling world believe that you are not having enough. The world cannot supply you all that you want unless you demand, you deprive others, you fight for it, you compare. Unless you do all these things, the world cannot fulfill you. Why is that? Because this human mind has gradually turned into a storehouse of desires. The mind has become a garage, a storehouse of desires, where everything is being piled upon one another. All desires, countless ones. And there's a very subtle region in the mind, a very, very subtle region in the mind, which is the unconscious presence of the mind. And subtlest part of that, it's so subtle that we are not even aware that I have greed. That why I have greed. First of all, do I have greed? Then why do I have greed? That is why greed is very difficult to find, because greed cannot be, you cannot find it, because we like to deny the greed all the time. We like to deny the greed. I don't have, I don't possess, I am not a greedy person. That's very nice. It's very beautiful to be a person who is not engulfed by greed. But have we tested ourselves? Have we put ourselves into that acid test to find out? This should be a spiritual, regular routine. However spiritual one is, however religious one is, still, this disease is something that is inside and you can't find out, because all these layers of disease sits inside the most subtle part of your subconscious mind, rather unconscious mind. So we don't own that. That's why we don't even know that we are diseased by greed. It is very difficult to find, my dears. And it's more important for you to sit quietly, sit in stillness, go into that silence, peel one after the other, look into your own house. This is a simple exercise that I'm telling you. Go around your house, go around your collections, spend a week just into that self-introspection, open every room, open all that you possess, check on that, and you see how you got it. What is the source? From which source have you received it? Why do you need it? Do you still need it? Are you okay to share with that? Are you still going to wear it? And if you go into a very honest introspection, you will definitely know that most of it has reached you just because of that greed sitting in that unconscious mind. Why is that active and alive? Because we have failed to destroy the time bomb. Now, what is the world talking about? What are we worried about? What's happening to our weathers? The forest fire, so much heat, so much rain, floods, extreme cold, extreme heat. What's that? We do celebrate a day, climate day, and we all talk about the climatic changes happening. Everybody likes to talk about it. Rather, I would say it's become a fashion statement to talk about environment, the crisis of environment. But what are we doing about it? Don't try to stop the environmental chaos, confusion that's happening, because you and I as a single person, maybe we don't understand, maybe we can't. But why can't we turn into ourselves, go into the stillness and find out from where it has originated? It has originated from you, from me, from everyone. We are the ones, out of our greed, we have changed this world. That is why today this climatic change is so big, come out of human greed, come out of human want. Human want seems to be a never-ending saga. Never-ending saga. This goes on. So what's happening? We are depleting our Earth Mother, our precious Mother who's holding all of us, who's holding millions of other lives. Our greed is taking us to that, to that extremity where the climate, the Earth Mother is deprived, and we are going through the climatic changes. Why is that our society is so much divided between the haves and haves not? Because we are not spiritually aware. That's why there is so much enormous poverty, because of human greed. Do you think that we really lack the resources? We don't lack resources on earth. What we lack is empathy. What we are doing is we are accumulating with greed. And that's where we give birth to discrimination. And the more discrimination enters our lives, we get into power struggles. Look at the corporate world, so much competitions. Then go to the extreme level of terrorism world over. What's happening? We have reached to that stage of we can't bear each other. We can't bear with each other. Why is that? We all are children of the same God. We all are children of same Earth Mother. How come we are different to each other? But then we just have lost the tolerance, just because the human greed has become so loud that the mind is always listening to the chattering side of the greed, and it begins to believe that. Dear friends, remember, greed itself is an empty shell. It contains nothing, absolutely nothing. It contains nothing, I'm repeating. Greed, the more greed you have, you will want more. It cannot kill your ego. Your ego will become more, bigger, more, stronger, demonic. Because your ego will get justified by the demands, by the greed. Every day is greed. Your ego will keep on postponing the life for tomorrow. This is very important to understand. Your ego will keep on postponing the life for tomorrow. Everything is tomorrow. Why? Because the greed is so strong. In the guise of greed, you will postpone everything. You want to give something today? Oh, I'll give it tomorrow. We want to do something good today, we'll do it tomorrow. Because let me enjoy today, let me hold on to this today. So what happens? We go on holding on with deep desire of everything as possessions. And then death will come to cut this long story one fine day into this long life is just cut as a short story one fine day. And at the deathbed, most of the mankind leaves this incarnation saying, blaming the greed. Oh, I wish I had known this before. So why accumulate so much? Why do we not go into that very core of the greed of the mankind, the disease? It is the greed which wants us to win every time in everything. And greed is so overwhelming that the rest, everything seems to be an illusion. We need to be intelligent enough to pinpoint, to capture that greed inside us and find out and look into the solution, go into that stillness of the mind and go into that deep self-satisfaction that I possess, I'm blessed with everything and everyone. And then go into the gratitude mode. Gratitude mode is what will slow down the greed. Gratitude is always being in thankfulness. The more thankful I am, the more, I'm thankful for this, I'm thankful for that, Almighty God. The more you're thankful, lesser the greed would be. So the more thankfulness is one of the biggest, sweetest and easiest solution to handle with your greed. That's, simple as we say, count the blessings. So you count the blessings that will help you understand that I don't need A, I don't need B, and why do I need so much? And then you'll start justifying the other side of your mind, which was so far weak, slow sounding mind. That is the call of the self, the call of the soul. There is no point being incarnated in fullness and dying a death which gives you that feeling of lackness. I lack this. Why should we leave this body with that feeling that I have not enjoyed the life? Every day, very breath is enjoyment. The very smile that you display, this beautiful magical smile on your face itself, that you have a fulfilled life this very moment. Question yourself, are you not fulfilled? Are you not happy? Don't you think that you have lived a purposeful life? Whatever life you have lived, find the purpose. These are very simple ways to get into the deeper self and take out all the goodness that you have. Piled up goodness everyone has. And then slowly we counter the greed, bring it down, calm down that demon, and ultimately the more we calm it down, the more easy it is for the demon to die on its own. So, take this as a little exercise, go into yourself and find out all those strengths, positive side of yours. Question yourself, ponder on these things, spend some time with yourself. Do not ever say, I don't have time for myself. Take some minimum 10 minutes, 15 minutes for yourself. Ponder on those things. I'm sure that over a period of time, this raging greed will just reduce and will become powerless. So, dear ones, let's meet next time until this huge big demon called greed sitting inside you is dissolved into nothingness. Until then, stay blessed, love you all, be happy, many blessings.